Jane's back with us. Look, Arsenal through to the 5th round, but my goodness, Mikel Arteta, it's no surprise that he's worried about injuries, is it?
Worried right now, and you'll see here. Hopefully you can hear me now. You'll see here a few of the current injuries. We're going to hear from Mikel Arteta in just a second as well, but just to update Kai Havertz. He's got a muscular injury. He had a long spell on the sidelines with a knee problem, picked up on the opening weekend of the season against Manchester United. Mikel Merino pretty much ruled out for the season. Ricardo Calafiori went down in the warm-up. That's the second time he's gone down in a warm-up this season. Went down against in a warm-up for Brighton earlier in the season. And Martin Odegaard's picked up a variety of different injuries. She had the shoulder problem, had a knee problem, and it seems like another knee problem that he picked up against Brentford. The injuries are piling up. Some good news for Arsenal fans. Ben White, who went off in the game against Wigan, actually posted on his Instagram last night and said 3 points, no injuries. So there's some positive news. What I would put out, these three in particular, the physicality that all three possess, the height, it's been such a key part of Arteta's success this season. Without those three, that takes away a big threat that Arsenal have. So look, worried for Mikel Arteta, and this is what he said after the game, the FA Cup win over Wigan yesterday.
Him and Ben is the only doubt. We have to wait and see in the next 48 hours how things develop.
Just on Martin, was he rested today? Was he injured? Or?
Yeah, with Martin, we have to wait and see. Obviously, he picked that knock on the action where we conceded the goal, and he wasn't fit for today. Before it was the strikers, then it was the defenders, now it's the midfielders, but we are still coping with that, but yeah, we need some players back and fit, and to give us as well not only numbers, but different options in relation to the opponents that we have, so the quicker they are, the better.
It's interesting, you said different options, and despite the fact that we all know Arsenal have got a giant squad this year.
Yeah.
One of the key things is the options within that squad. The option of, against a more physical side, playing a Mikel Merino, against maybe more technical players, bringing in the likes of Martin Odegaard into that midfield. So without those options, it does restrict Arsenal quite a bit. Max Dowman, the young, was 15, now 16. He's been out for a while. He's supposed to be due back in training this week, so we'll wait to see his development back in the squad. Ethan Nwaneri out on loan to Marseille. I'm sure Mikel Arteta perhaps regrets it a little bit. It seemed to make sense at the time, but injuries do happen. It does change things.
Yeah, look, Bukayo Saka was a late addition to the Arsenal team after you mentioning there. Obviously, Calafiori pulled out in the warm-up. The England winger, now he played in a bit of an unfamiliar role, didn't he?
Yeah, very unfamiliar actually. And I think for Arsenal fans, it was quite good to see because they only played the one proper central midfielder in Christian Norgard. Bukayo Saka we're so used to seeing on that right hand side. I mean, he actually was a left back when he broke into Arsenal's team, but he cemented himself on that right hand side, but he played centrally, and it was so interesting to see the interchange between him and Noni Madueke on the right hand side, and I think it would have confused Wigan, particularly in that first 30 minutes when Arsenal got all their 4 goals. Probably a big part of that was actually the positioning of Bukayo Saka in that right attacking midfield spot. Eberechi Eze on the left and floating a bit deeper too. But it was interesting to see him play there. He played 45 minutes. He's had his own injury problems, Bukayo Saka, but 45 minutes under his belt, probably preparing him for a busy week for Arsenal. And Mikel Arteta spoke about Bukayo Saka after that game too.
Well, it's more central, it's closer to the goal. It's a bit more difficult for the opponent to get his reference constantly. He can interchange position with a wide player as well. And he's so good at picking those spaces. And when he's there, he can really hurt you with the ball.
Something you've been looking to try?
Something that's a possibility, and I wanted to try it, and we might use it in the future. So still so many games, competitions, and different scenarios to play in the season, and that's a possibility that we have.
Well, Arsenal are in action next against Wolves in the Premier League. That's live on Sky Sports Main Event from 7:30 p.m. on Wednesday, and then all attention turns to this one. It's the North London derby. Arsenal facing Igor Tudor's Spurs. That's on Sunday from 4 p.m. on Sky Sports Premier League.
Come on, Tim, let's talk about Eberechi Eze. I want your thoughts on this because he starred, I think it's fair to say, in their 4-0 win over Wigan Athletic in the FA Cup 4th round yesterday. But he's found game time in the Premier League limited of late. Is Mikel Arteta holding back one of England's brightest stars, Tim Sherwood?
No, of course not. I think it's up to Eze to fit into the Mikel and the Arsenal squad. It's a pretty similar situation to what Jack Grealish had when he went to Man City. You know, like almost a one-man team. You know, when they're the main man, like he was at Palace. And everything revolves around you, a bit like when Jack was at Aston Villa. All of a sudden, you have to get used to playing in a team environment. The structure you have to get used to. It takes time, even though Eze's played in the Premier League before. And not only that, when he was playing at Palace, no one sat back in that low block what he's experiencing time and time, week after week at Arsenal, you know, and that's the spaces where he used to operate in behind the midfield have got tighter and tighter. So he has to work on his game. He still needs to develop. They will find a space for him. I believe he's a very talented boy. I think he's probably in that number 10, traditional number 10 position. I think he's the most talented one we have, you know, along with Cole Palmer. Morgan Rogers is obviously a little bit different. Bellingham, you know, he's the one who drifts into the box, anticipates where he can score goals. I think he will get it right. It's just going to take a little bit of time, and more time than they thought. But I think he'll play again at the weekend. If you've scored a hat-trick in your last game in the North London derby, I think Mikel, because of injuries as well to the squad, I think he'll throw him in again at the weekend and see how he gets on.
Yeah, and he was fantastic in this game, wasn't he? Absolutely. But Tim, and I always play devil's advocate on the show, he, since this game, has registered just 2 shots in the Premier League.
But not a lot of game time. You know, I think the start the other day where he'd come off half time, didn't he? And I think it was the first start he had in 8 or 9. So he's not had the game
10
time.
10 Premier League games, 10 Premier League appearances since then.
Yeah, appearances, but he's getting like 20, 15 minutes in game. So, yeah, I'm making excuses for him, but I'm not with the thing that the game is not going to revolve around Eze at Arsenal. Yeah. He's going to have to adapt to what they're doing. They're top of the league. They're top of the league for a reason, because not because 1 or 2 players. You do not win the league because you've got 1 sensational player or 2 sensational players. You win the league because you've got a collective which is going in the right direction, and that's exactly what he's gone into at Arsenal. And if he wants to continue, and I think he will, and make an impact, which he will have a huge impact between now and the end of the season, I'm sure, like all the Arsenal players will, needs to adapt to it, and needs to adapt very quickly.
I think the comparison you made there with Jack Grealish is really interesting, because I know you speak to Jack Grealish as well. So look, here's a question for you in terms of, all right, Jack Grealish went to Manchester City, he got paid a hell of a lot of money, he'll show you his treble medals.
Yeah.
But do you think Pep Guardiola held back Jack Grealish? And there's the same argument happening with Mikel Arteta, who's worked very closely with Pep Guardiola. A lot of people would say that flair, that thing that got people out of their seats was taken away from Grealish.
Yeah, as an individual, I think he would love to be, it's all about me. I mean, I would love to have been all about me as well. You know, like as a player, you want it, but you know, if you want to win something, you can't do it on your own. You have to buy into the fact that it's a team game. And I think both him and Jack Grealish, who we're talking about here, they move to these big clubs because they want to win something, and there's an opportunity to win something. He could have stayed at Villa all his career and won nothing. He could have stayed at Palace and won an FA Cup.
Do you think Pep progressed his game?
Yeah, I don't think you'll see Jack arguing about that. I think he's happy
because he's won everything. Yeah,
because he's won everything. Well, that's what it's all about. As a player, I always say it's not about finishing 4th. You know, you can't tell your grandkids, "Oh, I finished 4th." They will say, "Have you got a medal, Grandad?" You know, what have you won? You can't just say, "Yeah, but look at my bank account. There's loads of money in it." They don't no interest.
You've got your medal. We know what your medal is.
It's about winning. It's about winning. That's what you want to do. All you want to do as a footballer when you grow up is about winning and lifting trophies. And I think he's got an opportunity to do that, hasn't he? If he stayed at Palace, yes, he would have won the FA Cup.
Yeah, they both went to massive clubs. They're probably both, well, Jack maybe definitely not going to the World Cup. Eze, the jury's out.
Yeah, he is at the moment. I think it's an uphill task. There's a lot of competition in them positions. Obviously, we talked about Cole Palmer. I think he's an excellent player. Morgan Rogers, I think, is holding that shirt at the moment. Eze can play on the left-hand side. You've got Gordon. It depends what Thomas Tuchel's looking for. If he wants a pace man on that left-hand side, which he looks like he does with a Rashford or a Gordon, or Eze, who's going to play narrow on that side and keep possession of the ball. He's got an uphill task to make the plane. I think he already had an uphill task to make the team. I still back him. To get on the plane. But he's, like I say, he's got a tough task between now and the end of the season.
What is it? Do you think that Mikel Arteta perhaps doesn't trust him defensively when it comes to the Premier League games? There was that mistake against Aston Villa in the defeat back in December. And obviously, you know, he starts most of the domestic and the the Champions League games, but he's not starting those Premier League games. And actually, when he does get a chance, like for example Brentford, he got whipped at half time.
Yeah, well, he'd be disappointed with that one. That would hurt. That would sting more than most of them. You know, when you're starting a game and you haven't made an impact. But well, look, I watched that game. I just felt there was quite a few of them who never made an impact in that game. So he could have made a change to different ones. He decided Odegaard wasn't it? Come on, the skipper. You know, he's sitting on the side sometimes, and it's I think direct competition. Them two at the moment who can impact the game more than the other. So I like him. I like Eze. I think he's a good character.
But right on cue, Tim, Miguel's been in touch just with the question I just asked you there about the defensive trust, which is again making the comparisons.
Possibly,
with
but that's the same. Like we made comparisons with Jack Grealish at Man City.
Yeah.
It's similar. It's all about the team. It's not about the individual. You know, Mikel's not come there and said, "Look, come to this club and I'll make it all about you." And you know, he said, "Come to this club and we'll win something." And that is what he's promised him, and hopefully he can do that.
Be honest. Do you think Arsenal needed him? I mean, take away the £60 million price tag.
Yeah. Well, if you look at this weekend, I think you'll say they needed him. They've got a lot of injuries in the mid. Well, Tottenham have got more than injuries. I don't like complaining about injuries with Arsenal players, but because Tottenham have an awful injury list. But no Odegaard this weekend. Marino's missing as well. I think it's crucial that they got players like Eze to come into that squad. That's why you've got world-class players or very, very good players in every position, you know, doubled up, trebled up in some cases at Arsenal, so they can compete on all fronts. Top of the Champions League, top of the Premier League, fighting on all four competitions. So you're going to need players, you need quality, and Eze certainly that player.
Yeah, and you'll be hoping not another North London derby hat-trick coming your way this weekend.
Of course, yeah, fingers crossed.
We'll come to you. Right at the back, we'll kick off with James from CBS.
Hi Miguel, first of all, your views on the game overall?
Well, very happy, obviously, with the results and especially the performance, the way we started the game. You really want to show how much you want it when you play against this kind of opposition in the cup, and we certainly had that attitude. And then I was a bit surprised with the level of cohesion and connections very early in the match, because when you make that many changes, that can be a part of the game that can be lacking, but certainly wasn't. And we scored some very, very good goals, and I'm very pleased with that.
Obviously with Ricardo coming out, you could maybe brought in Declan, Piero or Martin, but you played Bukayo in sort of more central areas. Is that something you've been looking to try, and how did you think it worked?
Yeah, that's something that's a possibility, and I wanted to try it, and we might use it in the future. So still so many games, competitions and different scenarios to play in the season, and that's a possibility that we have. Yeah.
Tom Reach.
Okay, just two quick ones. Quickly on Ricardo, what's the situation with him, and is he okay?
Yeah, him and Ben is the only doubt. We have to wait and see in the next 48 hours how things develop.
And you might remember a press conference a couple of years ago where we talked about goalkeepers and substitutions in games of goalkeepers, and you said in the right moment you would make a change.
Yeah.
Was today that day?
No, this was a different context, I think, a different moment that I was referring to a few years ago. But I think everybody has to feel that he's got a chance, and if there are players, one of them will be Tommy, for his attitude and the way he helps everybody every single day. So we had a chance to play in some minutes. We have to try to do it, and I think he was very happy.
Hi Mikel, just another one on Bukayo, because he's played there before, I think during the lockdown kind of seasons. What do you like about him in those areas compared to when he's played off the right?
Well, he's more central, he's closer to the goal. It's a bit more difficult for the opponent to get his reference constantly. He can interchange position with a wide player as well, and he's so good at picking those spaces, and when he's there, he can really hurt you with the ball.
And when you say you were surprised by the cohesion, was it him in particular, or?
No, there were a lot of them, and most of them they haven't played that much together, so that's not easy. But some of the goals were exactly what we wanted to do.
Matt Standard.
It looked like the plan was going to be to give Miles minutes in midfield today. Obviously, you couldn't do that for late change. How frustrating was that to not be able to do?
No, that was another learning moment, and I always tell them, be ready, because in the role that you have, it can change any minute. And Bukayo had to be ready, and he was made aware of that very, very, very late. But you need to understand the position, you need to understand the global intentions of the team, and if you do that, then you can perform, and I think Matt had a really good game.
Ed, go ahead.
Hi Mikel, two great assists from Eze today, but those two goals, pleased that a confidence booster for him after a difficult week.
Yeah, some superb balls and his intentions. I think the risk that he took in the final third, the amount of shots that he tried to take as well. I think that's really positive. That's what we want from him.
And could he have a big role to play for you in the next week, given that Martin Odegaard wasn't in the match day squad today? Is he going to be around?
Yeah, he's already playing a big role. He's played a lot of games for us, and he will continue to do that.
We'll do the last couple. Phil from PM.
Yeah, I was just going to follow up on that really. I mean, do you think that would just be really important for Eze, because obviously he has had his sort of critics in this season and he's just laid on 2 great assists and had a really good performance, so how good would that be?
Well, that's what those players need, those moments, and especially when we talk about the creative players, they need to feel that they are producing those moments, and very happy with that, very happy with Gavi as well, the run that he made, the timing of that, and then the finishing action, really positive. So it's good for the mood, for the confidence. It's a really good thing.
Just so Martin, was he rested today or was he injured? Or?
Yeah, with Martin we have to wait and see. Obviously he picked that knock on the action where we conceded the goal, and he wasn't fit for today.
Final for Josh from Sam.
Hi Mikel. You just to touch on that with Martin, also you said Ricardo and Ben, you're waiting to see what's happened with them. You're now still in all 4 competitions. On top of then losing Kai and Mikel,
yeah.
Are you worried that your squad's getting thin as you go out and play even more games carrying on?
Yes, and especially because we are going through. Before it was the strikers, then it was the defenders, now it's the midfielders. But we are still coping with that. But yeah, we need some players back and fit, and to give us as well not only numbers but different options in relation to the opponents that we have. So the quicker they are, the better.
Thoughts on that, Graham? Tough day in the office?
Yeah, probably a relief at the end that the players really showed what they're about second half, so that's a positive to come out of it, but obviously disappointed with what we've done. That the first half was as bad as it was in some respects, but we've had a tough couple of weeks, so maybe we didn't quite realise how much it turned out on the players, but no, really pleased with the second half, and we've rewarded the fans with something of a performance, and now the club has got to move on very quickly.
Because it was threatening to get bad after 28 minutes.
Yeah, I think we've seen that in the last few rounds. It can happen. Man City can do it to anybody, can't they? And probably the 2 teams you don't want to play in this situation. It's something. In the first and second round, you're playing the non-league teams, and then you beat Preston, and you want something good out of the hat. But I always said be careful what you wish for, and I think that was proved right today.
How much of that was Arsenal really coming out of the blocks, or yourselves not doing yourselves many favours?
No, they paid us the utmost respect. Obviously, they can put 2 good teams out. The tempo of the game, they weren't sloppy in any sense, which you sort of maybe hope for. You think it's going to be a breeze, but no, they were very professional in everything they did. So, for instance, they paid us the utmost respect to both the manager and the team. So, I sort of take something from that, but we just got to look forward and move forward, and I was just pleased with the action from the players and the fans for the second half performance, and that's where we need to be, all stick together and move on.
And the substitution on half an hour, it certainly seemed to get better after that, didn't it?
Yeah, definitely. But maybe we looked at a lot of teams, how they play in these games, and wouldn't say got it wrong, but just a little tweak made the difference.
Matt Smith, how disappointed was he to not start?
Yeah, I think they were all disappointed. Obviously it was a big thing for him, but I think the performance Matt gave is what the club needs from now to end of the season. Not, he's a good footballer. Obviously he was taught the game here, and they speak well of him here, but at our level you have to dig in a bit more, and he dug in today, and that bodes well for the future.
And finally, obviously the season's not going to be defined on today. Did you learn enough in the last hour that you can perhaps take into the rest of the season?
I think so, yeah. I think, we had our moments, but we know we'd have to be more creative in our own league. But the way that we got back to stopping, Santica made some good saves, and the blocks and the real defending is what we'll need. But then we know we have to improve the other side of the game. But no, we'll be fine. We'll be fine.
Any more guys?
Tickle was linked with a move to Arsenal in the summer. Do you think today showed why they're quite keen on it?
Yeah, well, he's been like this for the last 3 years. He's very good at keeping the ball at the net, but we all know now in football that you have to have a bit more as a goalkeeper, haven't you? And that's the side that he needs to really improve. And I feel sure that he would get a move to a bigger club. But he has all the potential. He's a very good trainer. He's a decent boy. He's a winner. He has a great attitude. So I think the future is bright for him, definitely.
Greg, can I just ask one about the manager situation? Do you expect anything to happen in the next 24, 48 hours?
I hope so. I do. I hope so. I'll have a heart attack if nothing happens soon. But no, I would imagine they seem to be quite a way down the road with something. So hopefully it will get done.
Have you enjoyed the last week?
Sort of, yeah. No, I've always been heavily involved, but I forgot what it was like to wake up at 5 in the morning and thinking. My wife said she stopped talking to me last week because she said, "Oh, you got his 4-4-2 in your head," and it's just a waste of time talking to me. So it's been back to that really, because I had a few years of that. So just move on now and let somebody else take it.
Thank you.
Thank you.